In this video, we're going to learn how to write inequalities given a statement. Let's take a look at an example of this. A number r is greater than or equal to -6 and less than 10. There's two types of compound inequalities and or inequalities. And what I like to do is just kind of break this down. A number r means that our variable that we're going to be using is r. That's just our representation. Is greater than or equal to, which means that we're going to be using a greater than or equal to symbol. R is larger than or equal to -6. And so this is kind of where that and comes in for our compound inequality. It's also less than 10. So we're talking about the less than symbol there. So let's just write this out as two separate inequalities first. A number r is greater than or equal to -6. R greater than or equal to -6. That's the first one, because remember, with our compound inequalities, it's a 2-in-1 situation. You have two inequalities for one solution. And then we also have the and in between. We don't want to forget about that and. So r is greater than or equal to -6 and r is less than 10. So we have two separate inequalities. And so what I like to do is you can either keep them separate, or sometimes you'll see it where you have r in the middle and you either have a less than or equal to symbol, and same thing, either to the left or to the right of it, depending on your situation. And so what we want to do here, if we want to write these as one inequality sandwiched kind of together, r is greater than or equal to -6. -6 is the smaller of the two numbers, so we're going to use that greater than or equal to symbol and flip it around so it's still opening towards the r. So notice it has to be opening towards the r in both situations. And then -6. So this is just saying -6 is less than or equal to r, whatever r is going to be. And then our r is less than 10 is going to be sandwiched right with us. So again, notice that less than symbol is opening towards the 10 in both situations. So we always want to transfer those inequality symbols into less than or equal to symbols when we write it as one inequality, kind of sandwiched in between two numbers. We don't really like to write it the opposite way, where we have 10 is greater than r, which is greater than or equal to -6. We like to have the smaller number on the left, just like our number lines. So that's kind of the key as to which way it's going to go. Our -6 is the smallest, so it's on the left. 10 is the largest, so it's going to be on the right. Let's look at this next one. A number is at most -12 or at least 7. So a number could really be any number at this point. We can pick whatever variable we want. And so our default is normally just x in this case, and that's what I will use here. And it is at most -12. So what does at most mean? It says it could be smaller than -12, it could be -12, but it can't go larger than -12. So x has to be less than or equal to -12 in this case. So I'll write that all as one inequality. And then your or, that's the key word for our compound inequality. And then or at least 7. So x is at least 7, which means it could be 7, but it could also be larger than 7. So at least gives us the greater than or equal to 7 inequality. And that's all that there really is for the or inequalities. You can't write it two different ways like the and inequalities. You're really just writing two separate inequalities in one statement. And that's kind of how you write our compound inequalities out given a statement. Just kind of break it down, dissect it, kind of the same way you would if you were breaking down just a regular inequality statement and writing it out as an inequality. Except now we have that or and in between the two statements here.